Listen.
So The People We Meet on Vacation landed the #1 spot on Netflix for movies, and it ended up being my first rom-com of the year, if we don't count, 28 years later.
This is Memento Mori. Because we're gonna die. You are gonna die.
And it's decent. I like the actors. It's shot well. Pretty much it's a rom-com about two people who are scared to be together because they're complete opposites of each other. So they only hang out when they're on summer vacation together because it brings out another side of them. It's one of those where the only thing really stopping them is themselves, which I'm sure everyone knows a couple like that, where it's just their fear that keeps them from being together. Sometimes you may be one of the two.
Platonic travel companions.
But this one comes from the guy who did these, so if you liked any of them, I think it'll be right up your alley. Personally, I watched it for the duo since I like their previous stuff, and I thought it was cute to see the homages to the classics, but you can tell that they could have gone deeper, which ironically is what the movie is about. That said, before we get into full spoilers, this LME is brought to you by ZocDoc, since Oscar season isn't just about catching all the best movies, it's also about not catching some things in the cold, and they're here to keep you healthy. ZocDoc's the high-quality website that I'm sure you've heard about online, where they help you find doctors that cover anything and everything that you're looking for to keep an eye on for free. That means all the hassle of having to call around to see who's open and when is gone, since they conveniently help you see what's available, what they cover, and can even get you in with last-minute bookings. I've personally had some friends who have used this site for years, especially when they're traveling on several vacations, but the best part for newbies is that they have verified patients that let you know what the best is out there through reviews and ratings. You can book with over 150,000 doctors that are in-network with insurance or no insurance. All that's covered. The site even helps you filter through symptoms, languages, or whatever doctors you feel comfortable with, all with the ease of being online and even virtually for those who need it. As a cartoon, I'm usually not on top of it, but this makes it easy because even at screenings nowadays, people keep coughing even if they're masked. So instead of doom scrolling your symptoms online, book with a real doctor by clicking the link down below and signing up at ZocDoc.com/letmeexplain.
So tell me everything, just from the top.
Well, let me explain. So the whole movie jumps around between timelines with different moments in the present, causing them to flash back to all of their different vacations that have happened throughout an almost decade. But they kind of do look the same in each one, so you can get lost.
The craziest day was we had to do a Boston College scene.
Wow.
And then we had to do a Barcelona scene. And so they had to jump 9 years in their life and in their chemistry.
So what I'm going to do is break it down in order and explain some Easter eggs and mention some of the differences from the book that surprisingly won Best Romance back in 2021.
Doesn't mean that we can't enjoy a little casual sex.
To keep it simple, you got Poppy and Alexander, who are from the same town but never knew that until they met in college in Boston, and they're complete opposites.
The first kernels of the book for me was thinking, it'd be fun to take When Harry Met Sally and kind of gender swap them a little bit, have the more uptight, neurotic character be the male lead and have the female lead be a little bit more brazen and funny and a little bit more annoying.
Alex is the guy who wants everything in order, meanwhile Poppy is cousins with chaos. Alex is afraid of the unknown, while Poppy's worried that if she stays still, people will get tired of her, so she's constantly traveling. But ever since they became friends, all of their vacations end up being the time where they become the opposite of themselves.
Vacation Alex is alive and well.
The first summer is 9 years ago, and this is the moment where Poppy met Alex as they carpooled together back home to Ohio, and already they realize that they're not on the same wavelength.
At the moment when I smashed my head on the trunk of the car, was an accident that we kept in. Yeah, because he's so tense and frantic that I opened it on one and then it hit my head and Brett was like, I love that, what a good job. And I was like, that was genuinely by accident.
If getting stuck in traffic and listening to jazz wasn't enough for him, they then get stuck out of their car when she leaves the keys inside, and so they have to stay at a hotel. She even pulls a Rose by taking up the whole bed, even though she has a spirit like Jack.
I'm the king of the world!
And while each section is pretty short, you do get to know little bits of them throughout, like here where he opens up that his mom had passed away when he was very young, and so she never approved of his high school sweetheart. She then talks about the 7 minutes in heaven that she did back in school that led to her being bullied because the guy said he scored a double when it was just a bunt. And then she got called
Horny Poppy.
So leaving their small town was a big deal for her. That's why she doesn't like it because, she never stopped moving. But with Alex, she starts finding a constant. And Poppy shows him that beautiful things can happen even if they're unplanned.
That's a problem with small towns. Once people decide who you are, that's it.
At this point, Alex is dumped again by his girlfriend, so he decides to take a trip up to Canada to get his mind off things. But the problem is Alex has never been on a plane. It's also the one scene where we see her parents, and it was a pretty big pull on the actors because only Molly would come in with a Costco-sized box of condoms. Unless you're Diddy, 500, that's way too much. That's gonna take 3 summers and 2 a-days.
Is this your first time? Poppy told you?
It also makes for a great mix-up when Alex is talking to Poppy's papa.
Like what? Sometimes it just goes down for no reason at all. Mechanical failure.
Yeah, well, sure.
that can happen sometimes.
It also adds to why they're so different, since they pick up the traits from their parents, and that's why she comes off so goofy, while Alex wants consistency, since, he's lost his.
Drugs and condoms. Our work is done here.
He ends up taking half a Xan, so now he's out like a light, which helps with his flight, and he lands ready to hike. Poppy ends up buying a random Sasquatch statue, and of course, he's always there for her spontaneous acts, carrying an 80-pound Harry Henderson over here. They then get on a water taxi where my boy Lucas Gage appears, and this is where, I started wondering, why didn't they make this a miniseries? Especially if you're on Netflix. You can have each episode be a summer so that you can have guest appearances just like this. They can actually build up their relationship, and you get to know them more without cutting stuff from the book, and that way you also feel the length. Pause.
I believe in lust at first sight.
I was about to say the same thing.
You gotta kind of experience the ups and downs in order to be like, oh, this is love.
After riding Gage's boat, Poppy pops in to ride Gage's boat, but Skinny dips to help Alex, who is doing just that.
You're ripped.
No, shut up.
With this being the second summer that they spent together, she starts getting worried because she pitches dropping out of school and is wondering if they'll ever see each other again. So they end up making a pact that they're going to connect every summer to go on a different trip together, which, works for Poppy because she ends up being a blogger.
Need I remind you that you take vacations for a living?
Honestly, even us who get to watch movies for a living, I still catch people complaining at film festivals.
And what a terrible thing to have to do for homework, right? I get to watch movies and say that it's for work, which is great for me because honestly, it's all I ever want to do.
They don't really get into 7 summers ago, but they do mention that Napa was a spot, and then they jump into the 6 summers ago where they go to New Orleans, and this is probably the highlight of their adventures. You got Poppy with her poof, that Eternal Sunshine wig, and it's the summer they pretend to be engaged so that they can get free stuff up and down Bourbon Street.
I have done nothing to deserve this.
They end up pretending to be different people, so Tom Blyth has to act like he can't act. They got Emily doing her accent from Fresh Kills, and wouldn't you know it, that Paula Abdul song from earlier ends up becoming their theme, fittingly titled Forever Your Girl.
I love it when you get weird.
I'm only weird when I'm with you.
They start dirty dancing and get jiggy with it on the floor, and surprisingly, Tom doesn't pull out his signature move.
Oh my God!
Save that for the press to run.
I'm like the other side of the magnet. The closer that I get to a guy, the more I want to push him away.
After venting her worries that she might end up alone, they head back to their spot where her chef boyfriend surprises them, stopping what could have been.
I always felt for Poppy, it was New Orleans. If he hadn't showed up on the doorstep of their hotel at that moment, I do think there's a world where that night could have gone differently.
That kills the vibe so much that they just skip over 5 summers ago. Like, it's completely gone from the movie, but they jump into 4 summers ago where he's at the airport on the way to Norway, or Sweden in the book. And after breaking up with Sarah again, they start setting up how Poppy's job is starting to pay for their whole trips every time they go out. But the problem is this time that she ends up sick. And this man decides to skip the whole thing to be with her instead.
What's the point of being in Norway if you're not there?
Yo, he was willing to get sick since he had the week off.
Do your worst.
Mr. Snow, chill. 3 summers ago, they also skip over, but I believe it's supposed to be Croatia, which kind of gets mixed into the 2 summers ago storyline, which is when they stop talking after going to Tuscany.
Can't believe I finally get to meet the famous Poppy.
This time, Alex brings his girlfriend Sarah since they're on again, and it ends up being Piper, who found a place even nicer than the White Lotus, while Poppy's in Italy dating Emily's guy from Paris.
Poppy would crawl out of our skin if we were stuck in one place.
Sarah's also done super dirty, in my opinion, because not only was her man road tripping with a college girl back in the day, but they end up going on yearly trips that are more solid than their own relationship. Like, she's even venting that all he does is text Poppy. Then they're on vacation together and he's texting Poppy.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, of course. Go check on your friend.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is not a real character. Bless her soul. Turns out that Poppy might be pregnant by the surfer because I guess she finished the box after 500 days of summer. And yet again, it's Alex who's there for her.
Sorry.
What was that?
I didn't mean it.
Nah, she tried to kiss him and then blamed him like he was the one who did it. The test comes out negative, but so do they. And what's crazy is that by the next day, Alex proposes to Sarah and then gets interrogated.
So what's the plan? What are you going to do? What about your PhD? What about teaching in Europe or New York? So what? What are you going to do in Linfield, Alex?
It's wild how he says that he did have the ring, he was just waiting for the right time, and that came right after Poppy officially friend-zoned him, so they decide that it's going to be their last trip together. Another thing that the book covers is that Alex actually gets a vasectomy after this scare, and it adds to the fear of him having lost his mom during childbirth, in the same way that him seeing a pregnant Poppy means that she's going to go away. And this is something that he does without even telling Sarah before putting the ring on it. That said, they snipped it for the movie.
I think this is our last trip together.
We then jump 2 years to the present when Alex's brother is getting married, and she uses that excuse for them to finally see each other again that summer, and lies that her job is sending her to Barcelona. In the book, it was Palm Springs, but that doesn't make for an exciting cameo.
So I knew I was doing the cameo in Spain. That's a good way to justify going to Spain
Heck
for
yes.
the shooting.
They reunite in the airport after not talking since Tuscany, and it's really funny cutting the present scenes in order because it's a lot of Poppy just explaining things out loud for the audience.
It's very hard for me not to hug you right now. Because I come from a very hug-forward family.
I know.
They jump in his rental and catch up on the way to the Airbnb that's under construction. So with the Barcelona heat, it ends up acting like a greenhouse effect. In the book, the wedding was actually in Palm Springs, leaving Poppy to pay for it out of her own pocket, which I think is a little more romantic than it being a write-off, a business expense, but they still keep her rundown rental so that it can go with the storyline. He ends up staying a while to help when really he should be helping with the wedding, and the heat causes them to flash back to Poppy's New Orleans poof. Then when he throws his back out fixing the place, they flash back to the summer she was sick. Just like in the intro, the caller ID was Boston, flashbacks to Boston.
See where the wind takes us.
At the wedding rehearsal, Poppy has her big dress moment as Alex sees her walk down and all the summers flash right in front of him. And it's such a big moment that they even cleared a T Swift song, which of course had to be August, the end of summer. This is also where they homage a lot of rom-coms because you have her dress that's inspired by Kate Hudson's and How to Lose a Guy. Emily said that her moves were inspired by Cameron Diaz. And their theme song is even a flip of the True Romance score that plays every time they're flirting.
And one of the biggest influences for the theme in this was the theme of True Romance, which is actually a theme of Badlands.
Yeah.
So they took the Badlands theme and then redid it. Hans Zimmer redid it for True Romance.
Yeah.
And it has the steel drum. Bum, 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 bum.
After the rehearsal, he walks her home and confronts her about lying that she's there for work since his brother kind of spilled the beans, and they mention wanting to go back to a time before Tuscany. Cue the time before Tuscany. Alex then leaves just to come back and reveals that he called it off with Sarah and that it was because of Poppy. And so she starts ripping up the set.
You don't know what you want. You never have.
They finally open up that they've always loved each other, probably always, and they get absolutely soaked before they even get down to it. But by the time they get to the dance floor at the wedding, they're already fighting.
This isn't gonna work. Not as long as you're you and I'm me.
Oh, wait.
Damn, 9 summers of this. On her way back home, Poppy finds Sarah as a stewardess at the airport, a switch from the book where she becomes a teacher, but it lets them fix the issue of not blaming each other for the broken engagement and showcases that there's no bad blood. She eventually gets back home and still has that Sasquatch, no food, and decides to quit her busy job where she goes on vacations because she needs a vacation from her vacations. Her boss sees that she's clearly not in a good place and wishes her luck because she's a fan and knows that they'll be okay because Poppy may have been the writer, but she's the reason this place exists. Poppy then goes back to Ohio that looks a lot like New Orleans, and she goes to proclaim her love to Alex like rom-coms do in the third act, but she gets there right when he goes jogging. So now she has to run to proclaim her love to Alex. Even though I'm pretty sure you could have just called him.
You know, I once had a theater teacher tell me that I ran like a hockey player, which was lovely.
On ice?
Yeah, nice, I think.
So now we get the worst cinematic running I've seen in a minute. I think these two are cute, but they are not cute when they're running like Wario. Eventually she yells loud enough to break his noise cancellation as they confront themselves at a literal crossroads.
You're not a vacation to me, Alex. You're home.
So they were the people they met on vacation.
I had the title before I had the book. But what becomes very important to me is this element that we call the wink, which is that every title I really want to have not quite a double entendre, but 2 meanings. It's like you look at it and you think, oh, I know what this means. And then when you read the book, you're like, oh, I actually do know what this means. And it's not quite what I thought it was before.
I think it's about these 2 people meeting new versions of each other again and again and again over time and falling in love with each other again and again and more and more. So it's like, these are the people we meet on vacation. Yeah.
We meet different versions of ourselves.
Yes.
They then jump to the next summer where they're finally together, and because they never showed his cat from the book, who plays a pivotal part, they instead get a dog that they named Kenny G based off all the saxophone references. They also keep talking like book characters who are just recapping the reader.
Do you teach at Sarah Lloyd?
Now, why would you not know that? In the end, they go on another vacation, which ends up being the poster shot, and realize that their summers can be year-round, and that home isn't a place, but the person you can't live without.
That's really what gives her the happy ending in the end, I think. What?
So when somebody wants a happy ending, they...
Oh, you have such a dirty mind.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Anyway.
Thank you all for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I know the author has 2 more books that they're turning into movies, so I'm curious to know which one stands out to you guys. I think Poppy's even reading one of the books from the books in there, so let me know which one to catch. Some of the things I found out is that in the ending shot, the one from the poster, it ended up being at a nude beach in Barcelona, so one pan from the camera and you're seeing cans, not the festival.
Just off camera, and it was a live nude beach.
And it was packed. It was busy because this is the dead of summer.
It was a holiday.
Also to mention some other changes, like the school going from Chicago to Boston, them cutting Poppy's twin brothers, I'm telling you, should have been a miniseries, and noting that even in the books there's different versions, because if you get the ebook versus the paperback, I think it may even be the UK copy, they cut out some things like the vasectomy and such, so I'm curious to know if there's other things that people can recall from the different versions, and whether you thought this was a good adaptation. I know that all the vacation places that are set up in the movie are places the author visited herself, except Barcelona, hence, the cameo. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this one, what other movies you're looking forward to. We got a lot of romances that are coming out, especially next month, but I thought this one did have a decent theme where, it's not about losing somebody because you're scared of being honest, but losing them because you're scared of saying nothing. So until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and remember,
When art speaks to you, you find a way to make it work.